Right, okay. I'll start lecture 8, which is on curriculum. Now, in the previous lecture, we spoke about the importance of looking at empowerment. And we talked about where empowerment is needed by looking at equity and equality, whether the group stakeholders whom we work with in our sector are being treated in the same way, or whether they have any difficulties, whether they face societal difficulties, challenges. Now, in order to overcome these, whatever the difficulties in terms of areas of empowerment, what do we have to come up with? What is the main focus? Next main focus, it is curriculum. Now, in your tutorial, you spoke about the issues, kind of information needed, and what you propose to do, right? We go specifically into the area of curriculum now. And I'm not going to go through each line, but remember where we started from. Social capital, human capital, what is needed for the 21st century. In order to know, in the previous lecture, we have looked at equity and equality issues. Where empowerment is needed, if you have to go towards a common goal, there should be different aspects to be addressed in the most effective and efficient manner. I said you have to run fast, but in the right direction. So in order to do that, in each area, curriculum is very important. Curriculum should be 21st century focused. This is a small section which is also important. Importance of curriculum preparation. Not, the whole thing is important, but this point is very important. If we are to make this so-called change, as education is, the main tool we kind of follow is the curriculum. Maybe at any level, not only at the school level, with all the stakeholder groups related to the sector of education. So, considering equity, equality, in order to kind of establish a world by 2030 is the agenda. We spoke about sustainable development goals. So there are 17 goals. We talk about means of implementation, partnerships, separately from these thematic areas of poverty, hunger, gender, and education and all that, right? Now, what are we really looking at in the curriculum? Now, I'm not going to question all this as it is, but there are industries. We are in a technologically advanced. We said 21st century education is for a teacher to become a facilitator. It's not just one single answer. So in terms of manufacturing, 21st century is significant. Then augmented reality, it is not what just you see. The challenge is to work with augmented, broader realities. And then simulation, you just don't have to find the answer yourself, but come up with systems models to simulate. Climate change is everything about using data and predicting for the future. 1.5 centigrades, what happens? 2.5, there are something called AR reports predicting what is going to happen if there is a increase in the global warming from 2.5, what is going to happen? If we don't regulate, if we don't control 1.5, if we go beyond that, world is going to be a totally different place. So horizontal vertical integration, it's not that we don't do jobs at your desk anymore. We are in a globalized, integrated, technologically very advanced situation. Industrial internet, businesses are not being done mostly on a platform nowadays. Platform is not seen, much broader, much realistic, and much confusing. And also, very many opportunities to get discriminated, marginalized. If you don't have that skill, So then cloud facilities, it's in the cloud. Like tell me your experience of having printed pictures. We have, mountains of, we used to have albums. Now, young people, they're not even interested. They have like few pictures on the wall and that's it. They don't have it so meaningful. For me, that's crazy. I kind of look at pictures, think about like the new generation is not that. Then cybersecurity. Lock up your almaras, lock up your front door. You're being, robbed. Any point, anytime, in very different ways. You know what is happening with banks nowadays. People don't know how their money has been withdrawn, of a person who got retired, pension, whatever, the provident fund. I mean, totally gone. So cybersecurity, big data, and that's the highlight, analytics for education. And it's big data and analytics, which is more assuming, giving you predictive answers with greater accuracy. This is the word. This is the type of skills needed in terms of talking about human capital for the 21st century. And understanding the development in learning and shortcomings or overcoming, performing, reforming education, bloated, politically influenced agendas, or trying to go align with the global agendas when we don't have the platform, when we don't have the real, whatever the means of implementation, poor quality information, poor quality planning, and forgetting about equity and equality. And understanding the capacity gaps conceptually, these are major issues. And all of you have done this from our lecture, what happens with reading, audiovisuals, demonstration, it is being said, then what you hear, you remember what you see. And when you are experimentally experiencing, so likewise, and you come to a Bloom's taxonomy, all of you all have done, and it's about being able to facilitate the knowledge you have, teach. That's the community and the thinking we should have in our education. So our slide is corrupted. I will upload it again. So we look at core subjects and then the subsidiary knowledge, how to generate the subsidiary knowledge which goes beyond what is in that textbook, right? This is very important. First lecture connected to this point, which is about 21st century skills. You may have done this. You may have got trained on this, which is getting connected to human capital. So I'm not going to foundation and literacies. Based on the foundation and literacies you promote, the capacity, competencies to be developed in our stakeholders, primarily on children, and then it's not just මොලේ හදවතක් නැති මිනිහෙක්ගෙන් කිසිදු සංවර්ධනයක් ඒ පුද්ගලයාට හොත් සමස්ත ලෝකයට නැහැ. It's about characteristics, the person whom we work with and the qualities. So I'm not going to talk about lifelong learning, but these are priorities and guidelines. So transfer of knowledge to skills, generic skills, soft skills, content deepening, all those words are very familiar to you. So curriculum development is based on most of these values. And then we are in a digitalized world. Which is important, but digitalization provides you with that platform for interaction. Learn from elsewhere. Now our children and also teachers also cannot, now young students, what they don't understand, they come and kind of learn it better on their own at, certain subjects. Questions and answers, where they get practice up. I mean, you are very informed in terms of. So what is the authentic education, where your child is asking you to your student, make it meaningful for me. They're not ready to accept what you just tell them for the sake of passing the exam. Authentic learning for students, where they become co-creators of knowledge. And that is a major focus in curriculum development. Authentic education, once again, I'm not going to explain here. So explicit knowledge, implicit knowledge, where we talk about the knowledge as a perspective, as well as the cognitive ability to reflect upon, to become that person who can teach, to become that person who has internalized the knowledge into values, holistic development. And 5 standards of authentic learning. I will run through these points. Meaningful learning. I know of when I was schooling. We kind of halfway through the bad, we are bad, we were bad. ඉතුරු ටික ටීචර් පොඩ්ඩක් උගන්න ගන්න අමාරු වුණා. නමුත් දැන් ටීචර්ස්ලා එහෙම නැහැ මං හිතන්නේ මොකද there are other means of checking on and parents and teachers and children are more progressive to question. So meaningful learning, high order thinking abilities, making the learner a co-creator. Content deepening, it is not just those lines which you read out. And then substantive conversation. And it's not just the listeners. And social support for student achievement. It is not just the marks which matters. Now in foreign schools, most of the country, students should do projects at the level of their community. So our primary education was that at one point. They know all the plants, they know all the seeds, more than so I have an experience recently. And important features of authentic education, once again, going through those several steps to become a co-creator, as becoming a facilitator of education. There's construction of knowledge. Let the student or anybody whom you try to educate explore and learn. And to learn means constructing own logical thinking, critical thinking, and teacher to facilitate. To appreciate co-creation, give means to do better in the effort. So goal of the general education system of Sri Lanka, you can correct this slide. I have taken it from a document. If you can see, you would add if there are other components added, but this is the theoretical or the as it is written in government documents. And key attributes to sit. You want the learner to get educated, at the same time that learner to become a good citizen, not just a knowledge part. So 21st century curriculum framework to transform Sri Lanka, you need a subject on curriculum development, right? So right, okay, 21st century, this is the Sri Lankan platform. Cognitive skills, productive citizen, and healthy, and people who are supporting coexistence, education and development, patriotic citizen, the holistic person, IT, media and technology skills, vocational awareness and global citizenship. So 21st century curriculum framework for transformation of Sri Lanka is thinking about that co-creator with logical thinking, the holistic citizen, who would appreciate your own progress just as well as the others. Inclusiveness in the system. So once again, this is how pedagogical approach is familiar to you all. And key features of the new curriculums, skills, this is also document. So if you think there are other elements, please go ahead and add. Skills oriented, process oriented, modular curriculum, self-learning, lesson to run shorter lessons, not these 3-hour lessons, or 3 segments: essential, future learning, and oriented towards learning and sports, health and social-emotional processes and learning, authentic instructions, and authentic assessment and performance assessment, and diversification or diversified thinking. Some features of curriculum development. Components of the curriculum and distribution in Sri Lanka: ensure essential learning outcomes, diversified learning, and having that holistic view on health, sports, physical education, and co-curricular activities and community projects are some of the highlights. So individual learning, creating opportunity for individual to self-learn is also an important element. So structure of the curriculum has been conceptualized, thematic and integrated learning. In between, the content and skills promotion is the objective. And which talks about the thematic and integrated learning as the modular base for curriculum development, competence-based macro-themes, and in the areas identifying micro units, which is this slide is also corrupted. I'll upload again. Content-wise horizontal integration, which is matter. And then grade-wise vertical integration, which talks about holistic, inclusive elements and dimensions of education. So that's curriculum development. The question here is, 21st century skills. To develop 21st century skills, what is the importance of curriculum? Right? Any questions? Okay, so now we can start the presentations. Any group? Sorry. Modular specifically to achieve certain objectives of a section. Otherwise, it is so scattered. So modules can be defined to go through that 7 steps. It doesn't have to be at the levels or the undergraduate level. It is the thinking. I really like in the primary education, there was certain, I'm talking about 7 years back, where children have and they understand the market interactions in a systematic manner for the first time. So it's experiential learning. You are giving the child to learn that you have to be attentive. You have to be creative. You have to use what you know. Sally. They love those Sally color. For my eldest, I drew all Sally color. I think for my youngest, there are scraps. So they just keep on looking at it. Then there will be a coppers here, going from place to place, to buy stuff, sell stuff, whatever the balance. Then to see, okay, the same pencil is being sold by the other person at a higher price. Decide to adjust the price. And then you also argue with the people who come. I mean, my pencil has a bigger, whatever the eraser, and the design is much nicer. What do they learn? The reality. And then they kind of reflect upon it, experience. Then in a module, you can kind of go and a module for certain, say, let's say, I'm not sure whether we have a subject like social interaction, representation. So a different situation. We tell a story. Now see in your class, there is a person whose parents are traveling far for work, maybe mother or fathers migrated, so certain things are difficult for that child. You hypothetical situations, just to say, talking about migration or the economy. So a modular-based education is systematically approaching a particular subject. So අපි කියනකොට අපි කියන subject එක අපි දන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් headings නේ. ඒ headings තුල those 7 steps can be planned out very well, very well. So that's what 8 is. That is why I said 8 is shorter, something much more familiar to you all. And for this subject, we are talking about congruence of education, not curriculum development. But the importance of curriculum development here is we are talking about educational congruence. At a time, in the first lecture, I said there is an issue in the Sri Lankan education system. Why? You don't give market-driven skills and competencies to our children. So in such context, talking about congruence, having right curricula to reach that youth or to establish or to create that expected person, knowledgeable as well as with a
So congruence is very much needed in that sense. There are schools. One of the tuitions told me his daughter goes to one of the, well-known schools. She has been told by the teacher, science teacher, put all your lessons books inside and lock, because your father is also a scientist, science teacher. He would copy what we teach here in this school. This is a first-hand experience of mine. So that's the kind. So we really have to think about congruence. And the core of this subject is how oriented, what is the kind of orientation, what can we do through education of national building. It's not just the education, it's not just the individual, but national development building of this country. So any other points which you would like to raise? So I talked to Jude, you have to.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, madam and my dear friends. Now here we are going to present the group one's teamwork done on the education concurrence session 7 tutorial. Shall we move to the next slide so that we can see our poster? We have came into the, we have narrowed down the topic to the section of NCOEs. So there we identified that the main stakeholders as the the ministry, NCOEs, and the NIE. Now you can see the logos in this side in the left hand right hand side, and the picture suggests or shows the mismatch or the incongruence among these three most important stakeholders. So because of this mismatch and because of this lack of integrity and interconnection, the other side, that means the left side, the tree, the root of NCOE, and the tree, you can see the different branches, the non-academic and minor staff, school community, parents, academic staff, teacher education, administration, and the teacher trainees. So all are affected in different manners, and there are issues in each sector, but we as our team discussed, we found out that the major cause or the root cause was that in the lack of the major reason is the incongruence among the main stakeholders that we have shown in these logos. So that we think that we successfully depicts the big picture in our poster here. Next, I would like to. Yes.
Can you see it is also bubble mapping, concept mapping? When you do posters, it helps you to go into pictorial illustration. If you do the
when you do your answers, this is the best way to conceptualize. You may have done bubble maps, mind maps. And when you want to communicate your thinking, which goes beyond analysis, you come up with posters. So, මේ ගහනම් හොඳට වතුරේම හම්බුලා දලු දාලා හැදලා තියෙන ගහක් ගහ පොඩ්ඩක් maybe some branches වෙනස් වුණා නම් okay. For me, it looked like, it's getting its nourishment and dalu dala. Yeah. Right. Rootless. Very good. Very nice. Very nice thinking. See how it is coming up. You can't show the roots and all these words here, but you will contribute. This is exactly what is needed in the assignment. Very good.
Keep the mic. So I'd like to invite Nimashi to continue.
Thank you, Bhagya. I'm going to continue from Bhagya. So as Madam said also, we put the word NCOE here as the root. You see that though the branches are having one or two leaves, the tree is rootless actually. In this current situation actually, we think that our NCOEs at actually one I can't find a word to tell to explain that it's upon major stakeholders of as lecturers, as one of the main stakeholders of this sector, actually, we feel that it is at a stake, actually. Then if I go to the next slide, we will explain slightly how the stakeholders are affected and what are the issues related to them.
Before I forget,
Using poster, in the posters, abbreviations fine. But in the report and the rest of the slides, either you give a special, I mean, like a separate page for abbreviations, yes, or you have to at least mention the full term, National Colleges of.
Okay, so in national as yes, before that. Post එකට පස්සේ තව එකක් තියෙනවා. Yes. The concept of colleges of education actually comes with the teacher training. So we consider them as the main stakeholders actually, teacher trainees. From recent times, due to especially due to pandemic situation, the intakes were late. So that is one of the major issues. We see that when we take an intake, some of the best students are gone for other things. Some those who are really lagging at homes come, that type of conditions we see. Earlier that actually the students come to inter colleges of education without even going to universities. But we don't see that type of a trend nowadays because this intake is really late. The other problem is outdated syllabus. As stakeholders, both the lecturers and the students will undergo this problem, and the workload is very much stressful. And lack of food and accommodation is one of the major issues that nowadays we come across. It is pathetic to say that even the teacher trainees get fainted sometimes. This should be one of the actually heart-rending issue. No one sees this problem as the Ministry of Education or any other as not under that type of things, but as humans we have to see, as humans we have to pay our attention to this problem. I mean we have to, we should protest, if we protest for something, we should protest for this lack of food and accommodation for these teacher trainees. They will become the reason mothers. They will give birth to children within 5 years, like they will become mothers. So if they faint at colleges of education without food, what are to talk about? What are the things that we talk about? Other things other than that, at least no other syllabus problems, nothing. But they have, as you they should have food, madam. That's no one cares. We talk about it. We tell that even only 5,000 rupees are given for one student for 1 month living, madam. Not only food. So 5,000 means nothing these days. So that is one of the major problem in colleges of education, as we are also not paid well. Therefore, we cannot afford them something that from what we earn also, that we try to do as humans. This is one of the pathetic situations. Next slide, please. School community is the other main stakeholder as we go for internship practices and teaching practices. There's a lack of communication between the schools, and from after the pandemic situation, that the term breaking of terms and year plans dates are quite different from colleges of education and schools. So when we put when we plan our teaching practices and other internship programs. Actually, there's no congruence between schools and colleges education. And as the academic, we belong to this, we elect lecturers, no intake was taken recently, therefore that ratio between the student teachers and the lecturers are very high, then due to that we have the workload is actually very high, and then therefore our job satisfaction has gone down. All these are actually interconnected, and we are not given professional development opportunities. In that sense also we are demotivated, and this outdated syllabus does not cater to our needs and as well as the students' needs. Therefore, we are not motivated to do this. We know that these are some outdated things, but we just follow. Next one, sir. And non-academic staff, it is again a pathetic condition. All the political influence non-academic staff is there, so it's very difficult to make them move. In the colleges of education, even from the person who sweeps the gardens and those other education staff that actually I think the presidents and the vice presidents have to work under their rules and regulations. So we are just like the second staff and they are like the first staff. So that is one of the, they have that attitudinal change is actually needed. And that is what we going to give as recommendations also. And at the same time, from their side also, that inadequacy is there, that no, at least one medical officer is there for our students' health. That's enough, but no one, they are just one clerical staff member is appointed as a person to take the students to the hospital. That's all. Otherwise, in case of an emergency, there's no any provision for medical support for the students. The other one, sheet. Administration, they have the pressure as they press together as a sandwich from our side and the ministry side. Actually, they are at the pathetic place. They have no provisions of authority. They have to ask, take permission from ministries and so-called higher authorities to do anything at colleges of education. Though it is considered as a grade A institution, always I don't know whether they are administrative loopholes or something else, they always seek permission from higher authorities. And that's very pathetic to see how they rely on those higher authorities. I think the provisions are there, but whether they are not using, there's a problem. And no proper appointments are given all under, what do you call that? Yes, I don't know the particular word to explain that one. No proper appointments are given. So then a late upgradation in services. All that job satisfaction is not there due to yes acting. Yes, they are acting force. Therefore, that lack of job satisfaction is there also with this them also. So it is it has affected the system as a whole. Law provisions of finance is the matter that, for example, yesterday we had the function in our College of Education also very pathetic to see that only 2,000 rupees to provide all the refreshment. So we felt like giving our money and giving to handle the situation. That happened actually yesterday at our college also. So we have to do everything, but no money. I don't know how to address. Next one. Yes, as Bhagya said, this as that
picture in the poster said this as a, in a nutshell, I can say that this mismatch. We come from one side that building up that rails, and the other ministry builds up the rail from one side, and other institutions related to colleges education build their rails, and we don't know to travel on which one. So I think Bhagya will explain the rest, and she will conclude these problems and give certain recommendations. Though we are helpless in making them real.
Shall we move forward? So these are the suggested recommendations, and we thought of going to a syllabus review because, as we said, it's a syllabus developed 10 years ago. So it's time to change. I mean, we have learned during this all these sessions now the education is changing, rapidly changing. So it's an era of technology. So we have to cater to the needs of the students. Now we are getting these students as our teacher trainees. So when we are teaching them something developed 10 years ago, they might feel like they have gone into a lost world or something. So that we can't keep them they are coming from the new generation, and they are going and they experience something that their mothers have, or their aunts have learned. So it's completely mismatching, and that I experienced that they lack their enthusiasm even. So, and the next one, increase finance allocations. That's a need. I mean, we need, even the government can't postpone this, saying that this crisis is there, that crisis is there. But they have to understand the most important thing in the country, the most valuable investment is education. So to give a valuable education to the children, they have to uplift the quality of the teachers. Without uplifting the quality of the teachers, how can you help the students? So investing on education, investing on teacher training is not a waste, but it is a must. And the timely intake. Now, to take the teacher students into the NCOEs. Now this batch, now who are there as the first years now, they have waited in their houses for 5 years to come into the NCOEs. 5 years, ma'am. I think they're like 24, 25 years now. So it's a complete waste of their time. Even in 1 year, we have to understand that these are our young generation. They have to go to the system as much as, I mean, the most like 25, 2021, they have to get their appointments, at least. Because they have to start their own, I mean, their personal things are there. They have to get married, they have to produce children, they have to enjoy life, and they are getting a diploma. After 3 years, they are getting a diploma. They have to, I mean, if they want to go up in their career ladder, they have to follow another degree, and then they have to go for the PGD. So think about this. This is really pathetic if you think in the real scenario. So, and unfortunately, we can't, I mean, just we are criticizing, but we are also the stakeholders. The next one, professional development. So we have to have professional development opportunities, not only for us as lecturers. I mean, this forum is really advantageous because now I don't think that there's another forum where we meet as SLES and SLTES officers together. Now, this is a very good opportunity so that we open our eyes in as two different sectors. We see the problems that we experience. Sometimes we live, not sometimes, most of the time we live in our own worlds and we are blind to the other sector. Now we see what from our side, what we experience, and from your side, what you are experiencing, and what are the problems of our students. So we have to understand, and we have to have the congruence. The congruence is very important. So, as friends, we have to think about it. So the including soft skills development in curricula. So very important. Now, what I see in our country is that we don't have this soft skills. We are not ready to listen to another person's viewpoint, another person's argument. We take it as personal and we go to the arguments. So this is something that we need to reduce. So for that, we need the soft skills to be developed, to see something in another person's eyes, to fit in another person's shoe, in other words. So that's very important to come out of yourself and to see, I mean, it's like looking at yourself from another person's perspective. Next, the integrity and resilience development among different stakeholders. Very important in NCOEs, as academic staff, and non-academic staff, and the students, registrar, and the people in the library. So sometimes we have these grudges and arguments. If you think about it later, they are really, I mean, very minor issues. But sometimes we have our pride and thinking about our titles, and those things are the real reason for the argument is that. So that's why we all agreed to have a kind of awareness to develop the resilience and the integrity among the different people, the stakeholders of the institution. So that if we can do that, the advantage will go to the teacher students, because many of the important decisions as a result of these minute disagreements. The next one is innovations and exposure to worldwide good practices. So this plug in the world what's happening around the world. If we go and see the Western country, how they don't keep those titles in their head. The librarian and the lecturer, they're like friends and they talk to each other, and the job title is a different matter, but they work for a common goal. The respect they show for each other equal. So this type of best practices, we have to show our people. If we can't take them into those countries, at least we have to develop a course. I mean, maybe showing some good films would also help to open the eye into the real world. And this is a real need to revive the thinking and to go into a different mindset. Next one. Go to this. So coming up is the last slide. Thank you slide. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank my friend Ayesha Patiraj. She's always doing the technical side, and sometimes we disturb her, I think. But she's handling it all, and she's deciding a nice piece of work. And we come here and present.
Disturbance. I was looking at that picture on vacation. I was trying to look at any of you there, but that's been kind of blurred and
and also Malati for the contribution. Thank you so much for listening.
great. I have a feeling
If there is a question from this area, you all would do well. So my intention is to, like for all of you to do well. So anyway, this like 7 and 8, there would be a question, combined question maybe. Few points. As I mentioned earlier, abbreviations should be explained. And national colleges, if you have said, mention the objectives at the beginning. Aims and objectives of colleges of education. It would have given a broader understanding what you are talking about. So any institution which you take, or even the education access sector, vision, mission, goals, objectives, whatever it is, which gives the scope. And for me, when I read and when other people watch, it is much easier to understand what you're talking about. I really like the poster. So good learning to start off with. See what the poster is. And what you can't say in the poster is what you are discussing in the, but at a glance, you guess what is the picture which I first saw. Part of the poster, this, what is the part which has really attracted my, whatever the attention? Broken railroads. Decision makers, where, so that is very kind of striking to which it kind of lead you to the inconsistency. And that tree, I would have felt few big leaves and some may karakutu find maricha atu kallak e wage tibbana, the gaha would have been more meaningful. And I really like the logos used because that gives the hint. Okay, if you want to talk about empowerment, if you want to talk about congruence, well, these are the institutions which should intervene in making the changes in order to understand those, though you talk only about colleges of education. So now you get some idea of the poster. But if you add little bit of more wording into the assignment poster, I don't mind. But pictures should talk, designs, illustrations should talk on its own, apart to communicate the overall message. So if there's a question like this in the final exam paper, there would be list of institutions which you can select and work on it, just as what you have done now. Very good effort, group. And once again, let's appreciate their. Can we go to the next group, please? Before I totally lost my voice.
Hello. Okay, good evening, guys. So we are group 6. So we are going to discuss about that Department of Examination stakeholders. As you can see, first of all, there are candidates who are willing to sit in for the exam, and the evaluation staff who are working through the whole process from the start and the giving to the results, the end of the process, and the resources persons who are contribute to the setting the papers and modeling them through this process. And the schools, yes, of course, the schools are very important to conduct the exams, and a lot of strength given from schools to the departments also, and also the zonal provincial officers, the officers who are contributing for the exam, and also the ministry and NIE and publication department, that policy making and giving all the support and all those necessary things to the Department of Examination. So then we choose 3 stakeholders from this, and we selected candidates, and first we select candidates. So the issues, there are, we recognize some issues. One is the travel, the long distance, because everywhere there are no centers. There are limited numbers of centers. So therefore the candidates have to move their centers, the selected centers. So sometimes there will be very long distance. So there we issue that travel long distance and increase of malpractices due to the bad practice and develop of, I mean, the bad side of the developing technologies. Some candidates try to do malpractices to get the resource and go for get those opportunities, because in Sri Lanka education, unfortunately there are limited resources in higher education. So, and also that English issues, there are students with special needs. Therefore, there are some issues that addressing them and giving their maximum opportunity to them perform well in the examination. So as data collecting method, we are going to get communication with the teachers and they know their students well. So we are going to collect data from teachers and surveys through Google Forms and medical reports, especially regarding that inclusive issues. I mean, the special needs students, we are going to get medical reports regarding them and interview them. And also the zonal wise, there are some details about the students, candidates. So we are going to collect the data to the zonals also. The recommendation for this one is, first of all, we like to propose that revision of the process of examination, evaluation, the traditional way of conducting the examination, we have to revision the process and we can implement new things with this new uh, developing technology such as online tools, likewise, and awareness programs, for, especially for the malpractices and also the inclusive issues, addressing them, and strengthen the supervisions for the decrease the malpractices, and training programs for supervisors and monitoring the supervisors, and also the change the assessment according, because especially the inclusive students have to address in another way, because they are not similar to the that normal students. We have to address them in another assessment. We have to done the assessment in another way. This is the example for the Google form. And evaluation staff. Regarding evaluation staff, we recognize that there are unwillingness to participate in the evaluation. Some markers are unwilling to participate the examination evaluation process, because then issue is the payments and also the traveling difficulties, because there are no evaluation centers. So they have to come there and they have to stay there. Sometimes it will be 10 days, 12 days. So they are unwillingness to come to participate this evaluation process. And policy issues. There are a lot of policy issues that national level, this, because the recognition of this evaluation as a job of a teacher and as a duty of their, because the I think the in the learning process, that evaluation and assessment is one concept of that learning. So it is not recognized as a teacher's duty. And also data collecting methods, we are going to get the feedbacks from the teachers who are participating in the evaluation process. And also we can get the details by number of marking external applications. We can look at the numbers, how many teachers, how many persons applied for the examination, evaluation process. Then we can get idea of the issues. And also request and appeals. There are several requests and appeals regarding the these issues also. On the recommendation, we are recommend that recognition to the commendation to these works and appoints to their appraisal and also increase payments, and also define teachers' job role and take policy decision to recognition this evaluation process as their job role. And also the workshop for the, because this attitude, this should be done also, not only the teaching part, the assessment part also have to done. So we have to do some workshop regarding the attitude. And schools, when we are considering the schools, that they are schools, we are getting the schools for the conducting the exam and the conducting the evaluation process. So schools close due to marking, and some schools lose lot of school hours. And also teachers going for the marking, then the staff of that particular schools losing their staff for the students. And also schools has to close. I mean, during the extra activities, they cannot done without their teachers. So data collecting methods, we are going to get the request from principals and principals' feedbacks and complaints of schools regarding losses of teachers' hours. As a recommendation, we are going to change schools in different stage. I mean, it's mean that there are several stage in evaluation process. Getting the same school in the both the same stages, it will loses lot of time. So one school for the one stage and another school for the second stage of evaluation. Likewise, we can reduce the time of each schools that they are closing time for the examination evaluation process. And also the provide facilities to centers. Some teachers are complaining, some there are lack of resources for the evaluation process. So we have to provide the facilities for those centers. Also, we have to educate the principals, staff, zonal staff to get in the resources for those evaluation centers and the conducting the exam. As I think you remember, there was incident that students are take the umbrellas in one hand and written the papers in one hand previous years ago. So we have to use cluster schools. So one school is closed due to the examination evaluation process. Then other schools can get together, and those students also can get together and reduce their losing time of school. Also, zonal level planning and supervision. And also we have to educate the teachers regarding this one. So the challenges and solution. The challenges, it's I think the most one is the communication barriers. We have to take the communication to the bottom level and take to the upper level regarding these challenges. And we have to trust building with all the parties, all the stakeholders. We have to build our trust regarding this process. And also we have to use the best practices with the current developed technology. We can revise the examination process, and we have to use the best practices to get the maximum results. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. One specific point to be emphasized is issues are well explained in both the presentations. What to be done is also well explained. Collection of data and how do you know is missing in the first presentation. Huh? I know, come on. That's okay. Okay. Yeah. That's okay. I noticed that I have written it down, but I forgot to explain. I got carried away with that poster. Right, that's okay. So if you get a question in this area, what is important is also for you to know what is the issue. From where do you get the in this next group is what are the recommendations? Fine. Now you know what the issues are. With education, what can you do? You have given recommendations mostly within the sector. In yours also, it was slightly there better than, I mean, like more than, not better than, but for question was not very well addressed. Okay, these are the broad recommendations, but with education, you should raise awareness with the policy makers, and you should look at the planners. I mean, planners should understand to do realistic planning on evidence based, because you tell from where you are getting the information, right? If you get this as a first question, I'm just talking about, it's not there. But I'm telling you, if you get this kind of question as the compulsory question in the first part, right? Objectives of the organization, issues, from where you get the information, broad recommendations if you want. And in order to implement these broad recommendations, who needs what kind of education? NIE, colleges of education, likewise, like department, education. What skills and competency should be developed in y'all? This is planning, education planning. We go beyond that. Planning is very important. I'm glad you have included all these broad recommendations. But specifically, education competence, we are looking at the skills and whatever the areas to be developed. So that part should be emphasized in both the ඒකත් මට මතක් වුණේ දෙවෙනි එකට එක ලියා ගන්නකොට මම උඩ එකටත් I have written down the same comment. නෑ ඒකනේ මේ මම කියන්නේ last part. Education wise, what education these institutions need? Monitoring and evaluation, evidence-based research, likewise, or under counseling, likewise. We are talking about that holistic institution, holistic individuals. Subject matter content plus the cognitive ability and values and the principles. එහෙම කරගන්න නම් මේ කියන ආයතනේ මොන වගේ අධ්‍යාපනයක් අවශ්‍ය? අධ්‍යාපනය තුලින් කුමක් කළ හැකිද? Partly you are correct. You are talking about system, very correct. But specifically education wise. Very good. See, there's a major impact on sharing. And actually, this module, now sometimes we are also getting blamed because we don't give the question and we don't answer the lecturers. As lecturers, I don't answer the question anymore. I get the people to find, but that is what is needed in those 7 states. Co-creators, education students or the participants should become co-creators. Otherwise, I like one thing, Buddhism book. When you start teaching that, I kind of think, not the Buddhism I have learned when I have done my O-levels. So, I mean, it is so heavy. But most of the whatever the points, topic discussed as something happened in the school, as something they have experienced in the field, 2 people dialoguing, then come the, otherwise, I mean, like that is very effective. And the abhyasa text for you to reflect. You learn. Just not without just trying, you have to memorize. That's a different matter, all these names, places, and those gathas. But you get more practically involved with the subject. So that is what is needed. And that's the objective of curriculum development, to go through sustained learning. Right? Now, Jude is sharing with you all the tutorials what I have got. All those tutorials would be very helpful. But now there are a lot of tutorials there where I have not commented. Keep that in mind as well. Right? This session is very important. Okay. Once again, happy boys and happy girls. Done well. Okay. We have one more group. Then අනික් groups ටික හොයන්න ගෙවල් වලට යන්න වෙනවා. පුළුවන් නම් calls දීලා බලන්න ඉන්නවද කියලා. අර online ඉන්න අයට. You will do the same. That's not.
Good evening, dear madam and my dear colleagues. So this is a collaborative effort of group 2. 3 of us have physically participated today. Our group leader, Prabha, Vasana, and me, Arun Vijay. So as the educational sector, we have selected Professional Development Center for Teachers for our assignment. So we have taken this solar system to symbolize the task of the Professional Development Center for Teachers. So if we take the sun, we have named it as the Professional Development for Teachers because the main task of these teacher centers in short form, the main task of these teacher centers is empowering the teachers and empowering the people in the relevant zone. People means sometimes it may be teachers, sometimes the principals like that, the professionals, and sometimes we empower the students also in the zone. So we have taken this Zola system to symbolize the task of the teacher centers. So next. Here we have shown the stakeholders of the teacher centers like this. Teachers, principals, students, ISS, provincial department, the Ministry of Education, NIE, and also yes, the zonal education office, and also the offices, ISS also we took. In-service advisors, Guru Padesha. Yes. And some other community members. I will explain who are these community members later. Okay, next. Jude. Thank you. Right. The issues related to teachers in the zone. So first one is the main task of these professional development centers for teachers is to empower the teachers with this module program. So the most remarkable issue is the incompletion of modules in the modules of the teachers. Second one is sometimes they get delay in their promotions, and also lack of capacity building opportunities for the teachers is the next issue, and also the ineffective yes, pre-service and in-service teacher trainings are done in the relevant zones. So sometimes they are ineffective. So it is also a main issue which affects the teachers. And also there is very less opportunity for the teachers to engage in action research. So they are the main issues which affects the teachers. The second issue, next. A second one is issues related to teachers. Teachers, yes, recommendations are also along with that. Yes, so we get for the particular issues, we have brought the recommendations here. So first one is we have to conduct give the relevant module trainings for the teachers at correct time. And second one is we have to overcome the problems in the ineffectiveness of those teacher training programs. To overcome those problems, we have decided to have some on sometimes they engage in very few teachers engage in module training programs. Sometimes they are reluctant to come for these training sessions. To overcome that problem, we have decided to conduct online sessions for the teachers to maximize the teacher participation. And also, next one is to make it better, the programs. We have selected this alternative, the integration of technology. We can use high technology for those teacher training programs. And the last one, the recommendations, last one is conducting school-based teacher trainings to we can identify the problems of the teachers in the relevant zone, and we can conduct we can cater to their needs. We can conduct school-based teacher training programs in relevant schools. We can visit those schools to conduct programs. Next one. Now we have completed the teachers part, and we are moving to the principals training, right? So in teacher centers, normally orientation programs of the principals, I mean, the recruitment, newly appointed principals are being trained at these teacher centers. So sometimes these teacher training programs are ineffective. That is one issue. And next one is for the principals, they get very less opportunities for their capacity building, less number of capacity building programs for the teacher principals. That is the second issue. And yes, I couldn't tell earlier to understand these problems, to identify these problems. In the previous one also, we can use questionnaires. Sometimes they may be online questionnaires, or we can go to a principal's meeting at a zonal level principal meeting, or we can give a questionnaire to identify the problems of the principals, and also to identify the problems of the teachers even, we can use an online questionnaire, right? The next one is the recommendations of, next. So those are the issues. Now I am bringing the recommendations for the issues of the principals, right? First one is developing new training models, not modules, models. We can develop new training models to make the training programs a better experience. We can develop new training models. And next one is providing continuous training opportunities. We rarely get, I mean, the principals get very rare opportunities to empower themselves so that we can provide continuous principal training programs through these teacher centers. Next one is conducting additional language programs. That means for this efficiency bar and all that, they are also in need of Tamil and English proficiency. So through teacher centers, we can conduct language training programs, and actually we are doing such programs at the moment. Now that part is over, the second one. Now we have come to the third part. Jude. Students part. Now students in the song that no. I always addressing as Jude, to go to the next. Right. The issues, yes, issues related to students, the poor performance level of the students. And also the second issue is they must be well trained for this leadership role, and also the lack of awareness and guidance. Yes, a small printing mistake. So the lack of awareness in guidance, leadership, no? Guidance. Career guidance. Right. Yes, that word is missing. Career guidance. They have no proper idea about in which way they are to go after schooling. So career guidance program, that knowledge is lacking in their minds. So those are the issues related to the students. To identify these issues, we have selected these methods. First one is focus group discussions. We can take the schools where there are problems, and we can have a focus group, and we can discuss with the students and can identify the problems. We can discuss the problems with principals and teachers, and also with the students to identify these problems. Next one is the way we overcome these problems, recommendations. These are the recommendations for students. First one is conducting leadership training programs, at least for the prefects. not only for the prefects, at least for the prefects, we can conduct training programs, leadership training programs to empower them, and also to make learning a joyful experience. We can introduce modern technology in their training programs, and also conducting supportive seminars. At the moment, we do these things for O-level, A-level, and also for the scholarships examination to empower the students. Additional support seminars are conducted through teacher centers. That is the third part. And we have come to the fourth part. Zonal Education Office as problems related to the zonal education, provincial education department. These are the problems. Zonal, right? These are the problems. We actually, these PDTCs are they closely connected to the zonal education office in their matters. So sometimes the zonal inspection, lack of officers for the zonal external supervision. They do not have enough strength to supervise the schools. So sometimes for particular subjects, there are no specified officers. It is one of the issue related to zonal education officers. And also the second one, they have very less fund allocation for their work. And also the last one, issues related to human resource management. That means sometimes there are lack of development officers, minor staff like that. They have certain problems which are related to human resource management. That one also is observed by identified by observation. We can identify these issues, and also through discussions with subject directors or with the zonal director, we can meet and discuss about these problems at official level. And the recommendations we have brought here is, yes, participating in school supervision to overcome their problem, because they are lack of enough strength to observe schools. So we can be a part of their external supervision system. And also they are planning in their annual planning work. We can get together and we can extend our helping hand to the zonal level officers also through this teacher centers. The last one we have selected is the provincial Department of Education. We very closely connected with the provincial department. The problems related to those provincial departments are these: lack of provincial external supervision staff. Again, like in the zones, they also have this problem, the lack of internal supervision staff. And also again, the poor funding and also human resource management problems. These again, we can observe this and identify these problems. To overcome these problems, I think same things can be done. We can participate in school supervision with their team, and in planning, we can help them to plan certain work. So in such ways, we can help the provincial department also. That's all. Right. That is all. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Very good effort. Now, this gave me a different idea also to make life easier for you all. If there is a question like this, I don't mind you taking 2 pages. Draw the flow chart first. Not this institution separately or anything like that. If you take 3 institutions, talk about the goal, objectives, all that, in one page and then draw a flow chart. 3 institutions or whatever stakeholders, not the institution. Stakeholders, issues underneath from where you get the information, recommendations, broad recommendations if you have, and specific education related. Now in this presentation, most of the recommendations were on education. Because you all are institutions, there's a kind of teachers and children directly and national policy level. So there is congruence which is needed in between certain institutions also. So you give broad recommendations, very good congruence. If you want to achieve the objectives of this organization, these are the stakeholders, but these are the institutions which should, get integrated and specific recommendations. You got my point. You draw a diagram and do a brief explanation. I still would give you full marks because by looking at it, I would assess whether you understand what you're talking about or not. Right? So whatever the today's presentation should be given to Jude. Ek dan atat. Oh,
Madam,
Oh, then atat. එහෙම නැත්තම් පෙන් උනත් නෙමෙයි අරක ඉන්නවද බලන්න කවුද ඉන්නේ.
Madam, may I do the presentation? Group 4?
That's a good girl. Is that Darushka?
No, I'm Vajra Umayanti from Group 4.
Very good, very good. අපි මේ ගෙවල් වලට යන්න කියලා බැලුවේ කට්ටිය හොයාගෙන ඉන්න.
No, madam, we are here.
It was there. I kept on checking. Yeah. Harshini and Deepani, I saw you all. The 8 were there. Are you in 2 groups or 1 group?
Yeah, ma'am, we are group 3. We are also ready to present.
Right, there are 2 groups. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead.
Yes.
Anata, come on, you're at home. I don't mind. Don't show the face. Okay.
It's okay, madam. So, may I start?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. When speaking of the empowerment in education, we selected 3 specific stakeholders like students, teachers, and administrators. The thing is that even though we can empower these categories separately, the benefits of empowerment interdependent and they are interchanging. So even though we empower them as separate groups, these benefits go to the all stakeholders. So we selected students, teachers, and administrators to speak how they can be empowered. So when we are empowering students, we can integrate learning experience, combining academic subjects through practical skills, because most of the students learn within the classroom, especially for preparing for the exam-oriented system. But we have to change the way we educate them by practicing them to apply what they learn through the curriculum. So to the assessment, we can practice alternative assessment along with the examinations. And when we consider the kind of education needed for these students is not only covering the given syllabuses, we can improve their creativity and problem solving skills and empathy, as well as collaboration to share the things they learned and to share their skills with other students. When we consider how to empower teachers, we can make professional development programs with ongoing training workshops, and we can improve their pedagogical techniques, and then classroom management skills, and how to integrate technology to the curriculum practices within the classroom. Then when we consider how to measure these teachers are empowered, we can measure their empowerment through the observations, and we can gather students' feedbacks and reflective practices, as well as we can ask teachers to write journals. Through them, we can measure their empowerment and the quality, and we can take some measurements. And how we empower them, the kind of education needed to empower these teachers is we can enhance their teaching skills, and we can conduct motivational programs for teachers, and we can practice these teachers to identify their students separately and teach students separately, even though within the same classroom. And how to empower administrators. We also can apply them leadership development programs, and strategic planning, communication, decision making, and then financial matters, and to look at the schools in a positive manner, and to develop positive school cultures, we can practice leadership programs. And then when we need to assess whether they have empowered, we can go through the leadership competencies, and we can measure their performances, evaluations, and through goal attainments, we can measure their empowerment. And when we make the programs to fulfill their empowering, we can use visionary leadership programs, and then ethical decision making programs, and we can arrange effective collaboration programs to create supportive and inclusive learning environments. And then we can practice collaborative approaches to all these stakeholders, the selected stakeholders, because collaborative learning communities, we can't separate this empowerment. We cannot separate for each category, but this is interlinked. So we can see the collaborative approaches, because we can't take students separately from the teachers or from the administrators, because administrators are the people who plan educational programs to the schools and for the teachers. So we have to see how this collaboration work within this empowering program. And community engagement is important in education empowerment in these categories. And we can bridge the gaps between these stakeholders by empowering these communities through community organizations, and take the participation of well-wishers, and we can service learn, we can activate service learning projects. And uh, funding and resources are important when we need to empower teachers, students, and administrators. We can assess whether these fundings and resources are really work well for the empowerment. We can make need analysis and need assessments, and feedback mechanisms for these stakeholders to measure whether the fundings and resources are very allocated very well for these programs. And when we need to apply this environment into the school environment, we can develop, we can raise the students' voices, because students are not considered when we plan curriculums or syllabuses, and we do not listen to the voices of students. So if we can give enough space for the students to explain what they need to learn to meet the goals of their future. So we can make collaborative learning environments and make the participation of students, and we can develop their leadership leadership skills through student clubs and organizations. So we can take their empowerment to the school environment. And we can initiate teacher professional development programs and decision-making process, and cultivate supportive and inclusive culture. We can measure the empowerment, how it is activated in the society. That's all, madam.
Thank you very much, Vajra and the group. Good effort. But in this presentation, I felt it is the sector which has been addressed. And very specifically, the policymakers partly address. If they have taken policymakers as another separate group in the stakeholders, it would have been more completed. I mean, complete actually. But their title is the sector. Some of your titles were more specific to your institution, all of you, which is the difference. Either way, I don't mind. The congruence, we are looking at how aligned the education system is. I missed one point. Wait, I wrote it down. That's the broad recommendation. Stakeholders, students, and teachers, it's looking at the sector. You can say there are a number of different stakeholders, but we select only 3 or 4. So if you take the sector, you can select about 4, but very specific in your recommendations you have to be. Our next presentation is also on the stakeholders in education. Let's see what they have selected. That would give a broader understanding. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, dear madam and my colleagues. We have identified stakeholders in education as students, teachers, parents and guardians, and school administrators. Let's discuss one by one of stakeholders. First, we are going to consider students. They have issues on traditional school system. That means we are in a traditional curriculum which is not focusing future and life skills of education, such as critical thinking, problem solving, communication, 21st century learning skills. We are not focusing on those sectors. So we suggest a curriculum reform focusing on STEM subjects and more attention on developing 21st century learning skills. And also another problem is lack of knowledge on community health and mental health. As you mentioned in morning lecture, I'm working in Monaragala education zone. We have so many problems regarding these cases: community health and mental health, pre-pregnancies, and so many child abuses. Most of those issues arise due to lack of knowledge. Students don't know how they are prevent from the abuses, how they save from those things. And also mental health. Most of the students getting suicide due to very small problems. They can't manage their mentality to tolerate their problems sometimes regarding their curriculum issues, some problems regarding their love affairs, or some are regarding with the parents, but they can't tolerate those problems. They can't balance their mental health. So we suggest that awareness sessions on community health, because our curriculum don't address those issues. If some science lessons and health sessions going to cover prepare, but teachers are not teaching those concepts very well. So we need to revise our curriculum regarding those community health issues and some sexually transmitted diseases. They don't. Our students don't have any idea about those issues. Then creating opportunities for mindfulness. We are now we are doing some programs such as Sati Pasala, but still we couldn't get the maximum benefits of those programs. So we have to rethink and we have to replan those programs to maintain mindfulness and mental stability. And also, then we are going to talk about another stakeholders, teachers. One problem we have identified is less access to current trends in pedagogy. We are still in traditional pathways, talk and talk methods, and teacher-centric education system. So, Ministry of Education has introduced school-based professional teacher development programs, but it is not success. So we suggest that continuous professional development to enhance teaching methodologies, including active learning, inclusive education, and differentiated instructions. We are suggest that to less talk in the classroom of teachers and more talk to students, and new teaching with new pedagogical and teaching with technology. We have to convert our teachers to working with technology and addressing new pedagogies, and also the skills we need to promote in our students. Another one is inadequacy of emotional intelligence. To build emotional intelligence in our students, first of all, we have to develop our teachers. So we suggest equipping teachers with emotional intelligence skills to manage classroom dynamics effectively and support student well-being. Different students coming from different societies, and they have different problems. So teachers should be able to address each students separately, and they have to treat each students according to their needs and their mentality. So we have to empower our teachers on emotional intelligence. Then when we consider parents and guardians as our stakeholder, inadequacy in parenting skills. More than urban areas, most of the parents in rural areas facing these problems. They mental health, physical health, and how they guide to their children, they have no enough ideas to those things. So we have to provide resources and workshops on positive parenting techniques, communication strategies, and child development. Normally, we are conducting parents meeting at schools and nothing, no any chance to develop their parenting schools in current system, but we can address those issues because if the parents guide the students very well, then we can have good community in future. So we have to address that issue. Then another one is less accessing financial literacy. So most of the parents don't have financial literacy. When they are earning, they have spent all the earnings to sometimes food, sometimes clothing, and they can't manage their earnings to get the maximum benefits. Most of the time, this one also I can experience when the people from rural areas, they are when they who are doing cultivations, after they are harvesting and selling their products, they buy everything, and after that, after a few months, they have to sell all the equipments and jewelry, and then they have to earn money by selling their assets. So we have to give financial literacy to our parents, then we can secure their families and children's educations. Most of the time, children don't have enough support and materials on education, but when we consider about their income, they can do it if they are managed well. Then another stakeholders are school administrators. One of the problem is malpractices in leadership. Education starts from planning. Most of the lead school principals and also officials don't have enough planning skills and strategies. They don't know how manage their resources, both human and physical. So we have to give enough leadership skills to our administrators by conducting practical programs, practical sessions, and ongoing programs, we can develop leadership skills of school administrators. Then lack of data analytical skills. When we are going to enhance our results of the schools, they can't analyze data very well. They can't analyze what are the subjects weak in the school. When they need another's help to analyze data. So we are suggest to build capacity in data-driven decision making to identify disparities, monitor progress, and allocate resources equitably. Sometimes considering higher officials, they are allocate resources to urban areas more sometimes by when we ask the reasons, they are telling that by considering the population or any reasons, but the real need is in the another place. Because of lack of resource allocation, those problems are issues. So we suggest that our solution is to building capacity in data-driven decision making to identify disparities, monitor progress, and allocate resource equitably. Thank you very much.
Once again, very good. Now, last two online presentations are very much similar. I would like to emphasize, you can talk broadly about stakeholders first, if you're talking about the sector, and pick about 4 or 5 stakeholders to describe. Now, depending on the stakeholder, this presentation had more of like education. But I really want to emphasize, when you talk about STEM education, vocational education. You can specifically talk about the mismatch and also what are the areas for STEM and vocational training in the 21st century. So that gives the orientation towards education specifically without not stopping at the broad recommendations. So, but here they ask this sector, in a way what they do is right. But when you take, specifically a institution, you really have to look at what should be done at that institution, right? Than policy. And likewise, I wanted to tell you in this, if you take the whole sector, try to give some specific recommendations also within that broad recommendations. Wait, to look at my notes. So there were some more education-oriented recommendations here, like parents' income generation. Also, you can talk about best practices. Food, providing food, that is mostly being given to mothers. So that is income generation. So you can see whether there is formal or informal means of now some constructions, repairs. If you can provide that with the approval of the right process and school development, whatever that committee. So that also you're trying to do something specific. So parents' income generation, they spoke about it. And getting support. I remember in certain schools, they have linked up children with economic, whatever the economical background, disadvantaged backgrounds to support us. Most of the time without identifying the student. But when it never being identified in foreign countries, but when we give 5,000 rupees, we don't want to know to whom it has gone to because we are not sure about the system. But see, convents, foreign beneficiaries, they never identify the student, but they have faith in the system. So likewise, you can think about some specific grounded best practices also, if there are some. You can say, take this as an example, where congruence in education can be reflected by following some of those best practices in the system. Now it's the time for your comments. The participants, there had been 5 groups, 1 missing. So that's what I mean, like, I don't know whether their presentations are there in the other list. So I always kind of appreciate the ones who do it and then sharing without just, I mean, like, if people have not really tried. 21st century education, it's their matter, but understanding their difficulties. If they are not there for some particular, obviously that should be understood, but that should not be taken for granted. Right? So now you can give your opinion. And I said you can share your, you can do the illustration in the flowchart and then going to, I'm talking about the final exam, to your longer answer, which you don't have to write as long as, going all into those, you will write a booklet, but still you might miss out. But if you have a flow chart, a chart done, and then, I mean, like this one previous, I mean, all were nice in the illustrations, but you can't put those illustrations in the final answer. So try to practice drawing a flow chart and explaining briefly. You will get full marks. Right? And then, but there should be a description, all right? But you don't have to write a booklet. You can say point in the branch of whatever the branch you can mention, and then what is being highlighted, or the priority areas of concern for the Sri Lankan context. I'm glad I met you today. I'm glad we had the opportunity to discuss. But I do understand all your difficulties coming from very far, bus fare or transportation cost and all that, finding, I mean, having accommodation in Colombo Even if you go to a friend or relative's place, you cannot go without having some eats for those small children or whoever they are. I understand all that. I have a few recommendations or requests to make the final presentation online. But that is a decision with the group. I mean, like I have not still said it is hybrid. I have talked to Mr. Newell, but I understand your issue. I prefer formal presentation, 100%. But if there are major concerns, people who are coming from very far, then we have to accommodate. I'm more than willing to accommodate. But I feel these 4 groups, 3 groups which are here, I enjoyed being with you and I like to listen to you on site, lively. But if there are groups which are difficult, really difficult to come, let's see what we can do about it. And then, I'm sorry to the status of my now. Formal. All of you should discuss, and someone who's good at doing it would do the poster. Right? Otherwise, you waste time. When you don't know the techniques, unnecessarily, you should not waste time. But as a group, every group should discuss and give the points, organize and ask someone to do it. So that's it. Do you have anything to share or any recommendations?
Okay. ඔයගලන්ට අදාළ ගත්ත තෝරගන්න. එතකොට අද කරපු එක ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකේ ඉතාමත් වැදගත්. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ෆ්ලෝ charts අදින්න ඒවා ඉතාමත් වැදගත්. Given a flow chart first to explain the poster would like give a very striking effect to the PowerPoint. Specifically. හරියට align කරගන්න මොනවද අහලා තියෙන්නේ මොනවද කියන්නේ කියලා. අද මම පොඩි deviation දැක්කා but you can make it more specific to get better marks. Good best. What else? You mean the final exam? Sorry? No. See, I'm sorry. All my systems are getting knocked out now. So I can't hear you because can you speak little loud? I'll mic it about that. That is the whole sector, whole education sector.
Madam, the Uh, Shall I read the question, madam? Mismatch between education and future needs. That's the topic. Discuss the challenges faced by young people in the Sri Lankan society. So that's more broader, I mean, than the education sector, no? Mismatch between education and future needs. Yeah.
Broadly, you have to talk about that first. We are going beyond Sri Lanka, right? Looking at the global context also. Repeat the first statement.
Mismatch between education and future needs.
Mismatch is not the Sri Lankan mismatch market only. But education which we provide, this is what I emphasized earlier, demand side of education and the supply side of education in the global context. So what is the demand side? What do we provide in Sri Lanka? Whether it is matching with those global requirements, job market. So it's very broad, that sense, right? So if you put an illustration for that also, understand in terms of global capacity, what is needed in Sri Lanka with the education. So to show that mismatch of demand side and the supply side. Read the second question.
Second one is examine the skills need to be improved in respect of globalization, national development, and improvements in individuals' well-being.
That's what I mentioned for you. Those 4 areas. You look at what we provide now, which is creating the mismatch. And then in those 4 areas, what can we do? What is the status? Got it? Reread the second state. මේ ප්‍රශ්නය කොටස් දෙකක් තියෙනවා එකට දාලා. පළවෙනි කොටස තමයි approach එක. That's the broader approach. Then second part is more specific. Second, reread
Examine the skills need to be improved in respect of globalization, national development, and improvements in individuals' well-being.
We are looking at 3 levels: individuals, national level. How do we improve the individuals to match with the national level requirements? There is a mismatch to bridge with that mismatch. And then at the global level, basically you have given the answer once you do these 2. And how do we organize this broader? There comes the policies, national policies, national level training, individual capacity development at all levels, including those principles which were mentioned from Monragal. Monragal presentation very specifically said very little opportunity being given for the principles for capacity development. Got the question clearly? There are 2 statements. Work on those 2 statements. So that's the answer I have given for her. You can look at your institutions and give recommendations from there. And there was a slide, I think last group, our sector රවුමට දාලා තිබුණේ මම ඒවර in service and that slide would be very helpful to understand the mismatch.
Suggest the strategies and suggestions. Suggest the strategies.
Misprint එකක් තියෙනවා. Strategies, right? Stroke suggestions. එකම දේට කියවෙන ඉංග්‍රීසි වැරදිනේ. Strategy stroke suggestions.
To the main areas to be improved with specific outputs and outcomes.
ලේසිම දේ අපව ටේබල් එකක් හදාගන්න. මම ඔකේ ගොඩාක් ඩීටේල්ස් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ නැහැ ඔය ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක. හදාගෙන ඒක පෝස්ටර් එකෙන් ඉලස්ට්‍රේට් කරලා ස්ලයිඩ්ස් ටික දාන එකයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. ලියන එකේදී when you write you add points. But what I expect mostly for you to have that organized whatever the thinking. So if you feel going with flow charts for the presentation, that's okay. Right. I think the report highlight those sections. No, no. I mean, at least in a group you have about 8, no? At least 3. I have a requirement එකක් තියෙනවද මෙහෙ? And 2 or 3 would be fine. But that means if the people are presenting, the other people should have contributed more, right? So, I mean, like, I didn't put a contribution chart, which is not, I mean, like, අපිට හම්බ වෙන ඒවා ඔක්කොම 100%යි දානවා. හැබැයි foreign universities වල they don't do it like that. Students should, fellow students even, should indicate which parts you have done. So in Vivas, what we do is we look at student who's speaking, we specifically ask a question from his or her own area and from a different area to see that the student has only kind of learned by heart his or her sections. We don't do it here. So, but I'm very keen to see that people have contributed. Any other explanation you need? Then anything you want to say? දැන් මම දවල්ට තේ එකක් බිව්වෙන් ඉතල කොහෙද හවසට තේ එකක් දුන්නේ? Anything else? Maybe ජනක කොහෙද යන්නද බැංගුවට? He came maybe early, that is right. No, I'm just joking. You all can go. Thank you very much for all the cooperation, and I'm glad I met you, even a smaller number compared to the registered number of students in this batch. So thank you very much. I hope to see at least the ones groups which are here. If you decide to go on hybrid, it would be nice to have them. It would be nicer, but not for me, for you all, to come here for the last lecture, because that is the revision session. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. That's what I need right now. Because if I don't improve